What if the biggest accelerator in sales isn't another tool or tactic, but the right mentor at the right time? In this episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Kevin Lawson and Sean O'Shaughnessy sit down with Keith LaHonta to unpack how mentorship sharpens business acumen, strengthens sales processes, and drives real revenue generation. You'll hear why top performers prepare differently, including a practical 8-question credibility scorecard that helps you lead stronger buyer conversations and build trust faster. If you care about sales success that compounds over time, this conversation will change how you think about growth, coaching, and execution.
You know, one of the fun things about what we do on this podcast is we get to lean in to people's past and future based on their experience and ours. Today's going to be a fun discussion because we're joined with Keith LaHonta today. He is the owner of Pivot Sales Solution, powered by Sales Acceleration, but more importantly, he's based in Idaho, and we don't have very many people based in Idaho, but we're going to unpack a conversation that all three of us actually had a pre-conversation about because it's so much fun to talk about. The idea that it is our network of mentors and mentees that are really going to build and establish us as a legacy business, not just a bunch of old sales guys. Sean, always good to hear you. Keith, welcome. Glad to have you today.
Thank you. So, Keith, question for you to start off this little conversation. So, is there one person, and I'm going to let you pause and think about it, but is there one person that was really influential in your career as a salesperson back when you were first getting started that just put you on the right path to success and let's just say wealth?
Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. I was blessed coming out of college to be hired by the Xerox Corporation, and it was in Central Valley of California. And the gentleman that brought me on, mentored me, was Jay Tyler. Phenomenal person. Not only took business extremely important, he also looked out for you socially and personally as a young person. So the grooming that Jay provided for me as a mentor and a sales manager was phenomenal. He would do anything I would do. This gentleman would walk the streets in 100-degree weather in a wool suit, carrying his briefcase. He'd sit with me while I made cold calls on the phone. He'd make a call and show me how to make a call. Just the basics to where I would do anything for him. And given that, we were extremely successful over the first 3 years. And I was in an area where it was mostly agriculture, but the cost of a Xerox piece of equipment was the retail price of a competitor. So you can imagine we had to sell a lot. And Jay was instrumental in doing that. And he partnered me with another gentleman, Brad McBride, who was another sales rep to myself, a couple more years experience. It was just phenomenal. And it's something that I've carried with me forever.
Keith, it's interesting you say that. When you think about what you carry forward, what is it about that mentor-mentee relationship that's early in the development, before you really realized that they were being a mentor to you? What were some of the things that they were doing as sellers that really made you perk up and not just realize that they were decent people and good salespeople, but really mentors? When did the light come on for you about those relationships?
I have a great example. So I was out at a town called Firebaugh, California. Now this is due west of Fresno, about 55 miles. And it was Allen Ranches, and they'd farmed cantaloupe. They decided when I showed up cold calling to start to buy equipment right there on the spot. Jay taught me to put order slips under my spare tire in the car just in case I forgot. And sure enough, I didn't have any in my briefcase. I went out to my car, opened the trunk. I reached under, grabbed 3 slips, came in, and got the deal signed. I can't tell you I still carry brochures under my spare tire, but that was just one of those little things that he said, just in case you need it, here's where it's at.
Looking out for you ahead of time. In our careers as early salespeople, it's kind of having that coaching mindset where somebody's really the coach for you. Now, you're a ball player. You go out to Keith's LinkedIn profile, you'll see that he has a long storied history in baseball. But think about the coaching and how you might encourage others to look for the coaches in their sales life. So our audience here is a lot of founders, owners, people in the sales career, new to VPs of sales. They might be listening to this as hey, how do I build my bench full of mentors to gain and grow from? What are some of the things you might encourage them to do as someone who has been a mentor and been a mentee?
Yeah, mentors have different skill sets. And in selling, I've found the value of having farmers that handle existing business, right? And then the hunters that bring in the new business. So my situation's been to where I've tried to encourage the mentors that have those strong skill sets to work with that discipline in the business. Because they're really two separate entities. And you all probably had the same experience with that too. Some are great at farming. Some are great at hunting. Rarely do you find the one that can do both and do it well. So from a mentor standpoint, I always try to make sure that they're lined up with the right mentor for the right position. For example, in basketball, if someone's a forward, you want to make sure that mentor is getting the forward's input, not the one that works on the inside. He's on the outside. And that won't work. It won't connect. Much Sean's situation from an engineering standpoint and a selling standpoint. There's certain things that engineers know about certain products and don't put them in the other one. Because it not only affects the company's performance, it also affects the individual. And that's a lose, right? You lose a good employee, business doesn't survive.
I think that's so relevant. And thank you very much for this conversation. Actually, it makes me think about all the people in my life that contributed a little bit as I was growing through the pains of learning this career, which is a great career to make a life in, right? So it's rewarding. It's academically challenging. You got to think, you got to be smart all the time. And I'm thinking that there's older people that and I'm pretty old now, so I don't have a lot of older people around me, but there's older people out there that affected my career. But there's also people that when I looked at how can I help others? So my advice, and I really like your opinion on this, is if you've been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years, it's time for you to reach out and find somebody that you can mentor. Maybe they work for you. Maybe they don't work for you. Maybe they're the neighbor's kid. And on the flip side, it's time, if you are young in your career, to actually reach out and try to find people that are going to guide you through this career. Because it's hard to do well, and it's really hard to do great. And if you don't have people giving you advice, telling you when you screwed up, then you're going to be in trouble. So what are your thoughts on that, Keith?
Yeah. So I'm a member of Provisors, right? We have a Provisor group, which is awesome. The best compliment I ever got in Provisor was an advisor that came to me and said, I have a friend whose kid needs help. Right? And I'm like, perfect. Because the young man didn't work for me. I didn't have a job for him. He wasn't with any of the companies that I help. But he just needed help learning. So we got into a conversation about CRM and what's in the CRM. And they currently use Pipedrive, actually. And so I said to him, we need to do a scorecard and put some things in a scorecard so that when you call an account, you can get the questions answered in the scorecard. So he said to me, I only have 3 questions. I said, no, let's get 8. And he goes, why do I need 8? He was trying to challenge me, right? Young guy. I said, because knowledge is king. And when you have answers to all 8 of those, they might never come up in a sales call, but you know enough about number 5 or number 6 or number 7 question that the client or the prospects can look at you and go, this young person knows their stuff. I want to talk to him more. And it was funny. His name's Sam. Sam was challenging me on it. And I said, Sam, just do it. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, he was in talking to a potential client. And one of those extra questions that he didn't want to consider came up. And he had an answer. It was like that little nugget of conversation that we had in peace was just invaluable for him, because whether it'll lead to a deal or not, I'm not sure, but he gained credibility by knowing the answer to that question, which he thought for sure no one would ever want to know.
It's amazing what we don't know, the cavern of things that are outside of our thought processes until somebody, a mentor, comes alongside us, puts their arm around us. I remember the very first time I was challenged to build a territory report. That's not something they really teach you in college. It's a school of hard knocks, and it's a school of repeat, repeat, repeat until you get it right. But some of my earliest transformations were around the idea of sales operations and how to be a better sales operator. So if you're out there in the listening audience and thinking about how can you lean into people, how can you be the mentor? Maybe you aspire to be a mentor and just have never had the opportunity. Think about where you are in your career stage and what you do exceptionally well. What value can you offer? And if you're a mentee, if you're somebody out there who's looking for the mentor relationship, I'd be curious to know that somebody was out there looking to make a difference to me. So, Keith, when you're looking for people to mentor that don't come referred to you, what are you looking for in a mentee? How do they show up in your life? And what's some of the first things you like to talk about?
That's a really good question. So the basics that I come across is, what did your mom and dad do? Give me some background of how you grew up. Do you have a paper route? What kind of job did you have? Oh, my dad does this. My mom does this, blah, 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 blah. Starts to give me a framework of the type of person this you are, what you eat. So here I've got some foundational pieces that I can play with, right? And I've had some really intelligent people that I've interviewed and actually hired. They have failed because they're too smart. Straight up. Too smart. My brother was one of those. Totally super smart guy, but he was left-handed, no offense. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But I have a pretty good gut within the first 10 or 15 minutes whether this person's going to be successful or not. I just do.
Yeah.
And I've had previous clients called me and say, I'm in this situation. I need to hire to do this. I need your gut. Can you interview? And I do. But part of it is those basic questions. Who are you? Did you have to walk to school? Did you buy your own car? What's the deal? Little basics like that. Did you compete as an athlete on a team or individual? If you did on a team, it's going to fit this environment because it's a team sale. If you're an individual type line that you swam, but you just swam for yourself to win, it was you on the wall, that's a different type of mentality to selling and salesperson. So little things like that were my little triggers that kind of help put me in that position to figure out. And quite honestly, Kevin, there are times when I would say, I'm not the right mentor.
Can't be everything to everybody.
Exactly. And I'll go find the one that is, right? And bring them in.
So this has been fantastic. And as we warned you before we started, 15 minutes flies by. So we do want to give you time to introduce yourself and tell people how to get a hold of you. But I'm going to put a little plug in here for all those people that were listening to this session or go, I need a mentor, or I would like to mentor somebody else. If you don't know how to do that, if you don't know where to go, I'm going to put a little plug in for something that Kevin and I started a while back that is designed for mentorship. And that is the B2B Sales Lab, where you join this community of salespeople and sales professionals, sales leaders, and we mentor each other. You get advice from each other. You can put your stuff up there and say, how do I do this? How do I do that? Nobody's being judged. Your boss probably isn't in the session. They're not going to think that you're an idiot. It's a great environment for those who want to be a mentor or those who want to be mentored to join. But it's really all about you, Keith. So let's go back away from B2B Sales Lab and go back to you. How do people, if they want to reach out and they want to get mentored by you, or they want to ask you a few questions, how do they reach you? What's the best way? How do you like to communicate to the outside world?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Best way, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and it's Keith LaHunta, L-A, capital H-O-N-T-A. I have my own business, Pivot Sales. It's powered by Sales Acceleration. You can send me an email off LinkedIn, or my contact telephone mobile numbers on there too. Feel free. Love to talk and help. That's what we're here for, is to help and help you grow your business, to help you grow personally. That's more important, actually.
Good. this 15 minutes has flown by, and my takeaways from this are pretty deep. They're all about how we want to be remembered. How are we making a difference in other people's lives? As a mentee, early career, and a mentor to some now, and a mentee to others now, it's a privilege on both sides of that coin. And I know the people that are in your sphere, Keith, are also beneficiaries of that experience and drive. So thank you for being here today on Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. And for everybody else out there, happy selling.
What a strong episode. Practical, honest, and packed with the kind of wisdom that actually holds up in the field. One idea that really stood out was the discussion on matching the right mentor to the right role, especially the distinction between hunters and farmers. When development is aligned to how someone actually creates value, coaching becomes more precise, confidence rises faster, and performance improves with less friction. That's a leadership technique worth stealing immediately. Don't assign guidance by title. Assign it by sales motion and skill fit. We also covered a high-impact move you can put to work right now, the 8-question credibility scorecard. So you walk into every call with deeper insight, sharper messaging, and stronger value-selling conversations. Use it today before the week gets away from you, because once the calendar fills up, preparation is the first discipline most people compromise, and the first one top performers protect. If you want help accelerating sales success, improving sales management, or building a stronger revenue generation engine, connect with Sean or Kevin using the contact details in the show notes. And if you want ongoing support from peers who are serious about making quota, join the B2B Sales Lab, a working community of sales pros and sales leaders sharing answers, resources, and real-world strategies that improve execution. You'll find the B2B Sales Lab link in the show notes, so open it now while this conversation is still fresh. We'll be back with your next dose of practical sales insight at our usual Tuesday release in late afternoon Eastern. Happy selling!